Hello and welcome to another exciting video on this channel. In this video I'm going to talk about the recent update regarding best practices by Merch by Amazon. As you might have noticed in your dashboard in your account, that Amazon has updated certain policies and provided an additional information regarding best practices for the designers regarding their designs. I have already made a video regarding this a few months back when they didn't publish this new update. But now that they have published this new update, I was glad to find out that a lot of the things that I was already considering, they now have updated in their this best practices page, resources page. So let's just get into the page and see what they say about the new best practices. Okay, at the top you can see that they have mentioned that in order to get the best design size requirements, you have to download their templates and then use those templates for creating those artworks. Then there is mention about the size of the image they required, and the resolution, the DPI size that is required, and also how you can export your image from Photoshop so that you PNG size remains small. Because if you are using Illustrator or other vector graphics software, chances are that when you export your PNG design into the PNG format, the design the file size remains small. But if you are using Photoshop, in most cases it actually increases the file size without any necessity. So at the top, these are the things that they have mentioned. But now that I see that they have included some examples of how you should place your design on the artwork. I mean, how you should place your artwork in the page. The 4500 by 5400 resolution that they require. How you should place your design. And there are two ways that they have already mentioned here, that either you can actually mathematically center it, which you can easily do it, align your artwork in on the artboard in Illustrator, or maybe in the Photoshop you can align that. But sometimes what happens is that the design is actually centered mathematically, but it is not visually centered, maybe due to the typography style that you are using. So they have given this example that it is always better to visually center the design. It's not really necessary that the design is centered mathematically. You can do it easily, centering the design mathematically, but it is always better to center the design visually. Okay, the next thing that, and this is the thing that I already discussed in my previous videos about the using of the transparency in your design. I really don't use any transparency in my designs, although they do just suggest that you can get away with more than 20% of transparency you can get away with it. But as I've already mentioned in the previous videos, in order to print the design on the fabric, they have to apply a white color ink before actually printing the design, and that white color ink actually appears from that transparent part of your design. So you have to be careful about that. You can check out my previous videos in which I have explained this whole process and why they use it. And the next thing is that about pure black color, they require an RGB image, and on RGB image how you can actually make sure that your black color is actually pure black color, it is not any dark shade of the gray. And for that purpose, they have mentioned that the hex code that you can use directly for your design, or maybe the sliders, the RGB sliders you can use in your designing software. And then the other thing that I really like about it is that they have now mentioned that you should upload your high resolution, and after that they have mentioned later on, they have mentioned regarding the font sizes that we should use in our design. Okay, this is choosing colors. This is something that I think is helpful for the designers, but it is not really helpful for the customer. This is in my last video I have actually mentioned the problem of getting too many returns and bad reviews from the customers. So this is the main reason that customers are returning the products, and they are returning giving bad reviews to your designs. So on the page you can see that on the left side there is a bright color design, and when it is printed on the shirt, those bright colors don't appear as bright as they appear on the screen. So I mentioned in my previous video that they should have made the mockups in such a way that they should consider the loss of brightness when the design is actually printed on the shirt. So it is good that they have mentioned this here in the designer section, in the resource section for the designers, but they have not mentioned it on their product pages, which they should have, because customers are buying it and they don't know that the bright colors that appear on the shirt, the final design will not look the same. And I've already mentioned in my previous video that they just apply the same. When you upload the image, they apply the image directly on the shirt, on top of the shirt. They do not consider any kind of fabric effect or printing effect or ink effect or transparency of the ink. They don't take into consideration that, and that is why when the customer buys it and he or she does not get the product as it is seen on the computer screen, they are more likely to return the product and leave you a bad review. But it is good that they have mentioned here, but they should have mentioned it in the product description on the product pages. Although we cannot mention it, because if we mention something like that, it will be against their terms and conditions and you will get your design rejected. And I think they should do so that they should mention it. The next thing is about the heather black and the heather navy shirts, and that is a good point here that they mentioned that if your colors are actually closely related to the actual color of the shirt, and chances are that your design will not appear good on the fabric. And also this is helpful because sometimes, as you can see on this yellow shirt, some of the times your design looks good on the screen, but once it is printed on the shirt, it totally becomes very difficult to actually read what is said here, or actually difficult to see what actually the shirt says. And that is really helpful, because now we can know that we should not use any closely related colors. We should use the colors that are really contrasting with each other, with the shirt color and the design color. They should really contrast with each other. We should not be using any closely related colors. Now this part is really helpful regarding the use of text on your shirts. Sometimes when you use small fonts on your shirts, it might look good and might look readable on the actual on the computer screen, but that text will not be readable, or it will be some kind of like blobs and spots on your shirt. It might not even look like a text at that point. They do mention that the recommended minimum font size is 32 points, and the minimum line fat is 2 points. So that is a minimum requirement for the fonts and the lines, any kind of lines that you use on your design work, stroking your designs in Illustrator or maybe in your Photoshop work. So that is the minimum stroke size that you can use for your designs. And always use the design or the font size that more than the minimum requirement, because if you use the minimum requirement, there are chances that it will be totally at the edge of looking bad. So you should always use the better font size more than the minimum required. Okay, then the last thing here at the last, there are mentioned about the pop sockets. Pop sockets are really well selling product, but if you use the same design that you have used on your t-shirt, and if you decrease the size and use it on your pop sockets, chances are that my design might not be even really looking like what it is. So it might look totally different, maybe just some blotches, dots or something like that. You need to consider this in while resizing your artwork according to the pop socket size. Because if your design is actually too complex, it has a lot of small elements, and if you decrease the size of that design and to the pop socket size, what will happen is that the design, those small elements will not be visible to your on the pop socket, because they are actually 2 inches their diameter. So into 2 inches you cannot have that much information of the design printed on the product. So what you can do if your design is too complex is that you can actually remove some of the small details from your design, use only the major colors or main colors and then resize it according to your pop socket size. And then the next thing they have mentioned is that regarding the printing of the products on the v-necks and the baseball shirts. And again, this is really helpful for the designers, but they should have mentioned this thing on their product pages, so that the customers know that when they are buying it they might get a product that might look different from the product that is seen on the a computer screen. And at the end they have again mentioned the do's and the don'ts regarding your artwork. So you should not use any kind of words that require special kind of printing effect, for example rose gold and neon and glow in the dark and marble finish or maybe a wood finish texture or these kind of things. If you mention it, your design will automatically be rejected and it will not go through the processing on the whole thing. And overall I think that this is really good that they have mentioned it here on the designer resources here. But again, once again I will say that they should have mentioned it on the product pages, these things, because the customers don't know it. And if they don't if they can't actually mention it in the product pages, they should at least consider redoing their mockups strategy, the mockups design, kind of how they do it. They should actually use these kind of techniques in considering actually producing the mockups for your products. They should take into effect the transparency of the design, and they should take into effect the color and the closely related colors type of thing. And also they should take into consideration the fabric and the transparency of the ink that is used on the fabric, because that will actually not only help you because you will not be getting that much returns and the bad reviews, but also it will help them too, because returns, it doesn't hurt you only, it actually hurts them as well. So in my opinion they should mention it on the product pages or create a mockups accordingly. And that's it. That's all I think about their new update, and hopefully you have found something interesting and useful for you. If so, make sure that you like the video, and also you can subscribe to my channel so that you can be notified about my future videos regarding product print on demand and earning online. And thanks for watching. Hi, thank you for watching another video. And if you have made this far, it means you have found something interesting in this video. This channel is all about sharing tips about earning a decent living online, and if you are interested in this topic, make sure that you subscribe to my channel. Thank you.